Treaty with the Blackfeet Sioux, October 19, 1865. Ratified March 5, 1866. Articles of a treaty made and concluded at Fort Sully in the Territory of Dakota by and between Newton Edmunds, Governor and ex officio Superintendent of Indian Affairs of Dakota Territory, Edward B. Taylor, Superintendent of Indian Affairs for the Northern Superintendency, Major General S.R. Curtis, Brigadier General H.H. Sibley, Henry W. Reed, and Orrin Guernsey, Commissioners on the part of the United States, duly appointed by the President and the undersigned chiefs and headmen of the Blackfeet Band of Dakota or Sioux Indians. Article 1. The Blackfeet Band of Dakota or Sioux Indians represented in Council hereby acknowledge themselves to be subject to the exclusive jurisdiction and authority of the United States, and hereby obligate and bind themselves individually and collectively not only to cease all hostilities against the persons and property of its citizens, but to use their influence, and if necessary, physical force, to prevent other bands of the Dakota or Sioux or other adjacent tribes from making hostile demonstrations against the government of the U.S. or its people. Article 2. Inasmuch as the government of the U.S. is desirous to arrest the effusion of blood between the Indian tribes within its jurisdiction hitherto at war with each other, the Blackfeet Band of Dakota or Sioux, represented in council, anxious to respect the wishes of the government, hereby agree and bind themselves to discontinue for the future all attacks upon the persons or property of other tribes unless first assailed by them, and to use their influence to promote peace everywhere in the region occupied or frequented by them. Article 3. All controversies or differences arising between the Blackfeet Band of Dakota or Sioux represented in council and other tribes of Indians involving the question of peace or war shall be submitted for the arbitrament of the President or such person or persons as may be designated by him, and the decision or award faithfully observed by the said band represented in council. Article 4. The said band represented in council shall withdraw from the routes over land already established or hereafter to be established to their country, and in consideration thereof the government of the U.S. agree to pay to the said band the sum of $7,000 annually for 20 years, and such articles as the Secretary of Interior may direct, provided the said band so represented in council shall faithfully conform to the requirements of this treaty. Article 5. Any amendment or modification of this treaty by the Senate of the U.S. shall be considered final and binding upon the said band represented in council as a part of this treaty in the same manner as if it had been subsequently presented and agreed to by the chiefs and headmen of said nation. In testimony whereof the Commissioners on the part of the U.S. and the chiefs and headmen of the said Blackfeet Band of Dakota or Sioux have hereunto at their hands this 19th day of October 1865, after the contents had previously been read, interpreted, and explained to the said chiefs and headmen: Newton Edmunds, Edward B. Taylor, S.R. Curtis, Major General H.H. Sibley, Brigadier General Henry W. Reed, Orrin Guernsey. Chiefs: Wahat Chanka Ayapi, the one that is used as a shield, his X mark. Wamandi Wakatno, the war eagle in the air, his X mark. Oya Hinda Ayamani, the truck that rings as it walks, his X mark. Shankahanchka, the long dog, his X mark. Principal brave soldiers. Matokekipa, he that fears the bear, his X mark. Ehaka Sapapa, the black stag, his X mark. Ehaka Wicheshta, the stag man, his X mark. Mahatawashte, the good bear, his X mark. Tatanka Washte, the buffalo with the fine voice, his X mark. Shonka Wa'amandi, the dog war eagle, his X mark. Wa'mandi Yu Ha, he that has the war eagle, his X mark. Mazatoya, the blue iron, his X mark. Chief Chantapata, fire heart, his X mark. Chief Chantanampas, 2 hearts, his X mark. Signed by the Commissioners on the part of the U.S. and by the chiefs and headmen after the treaty have been fully read, interpreted, and explained in our presence. A.W. Hubbard, M.C., 6th District, Iowa. E.F. Ruth, Secretary to Commission. O.D. Barrett, Special Agent, Indian Affairs. S.S. Curtis, Major, 2nd Colorado Cavalry. R.R. Hitt, Reporter to the Commission. Saphir Recontre, his X mark. Charles Digris, his X mark. Interpreters. Soldiers. Sihapa Chikila, Little Blackfoot, his X mark. Chintapa'ea, Strongheart, his X mark. Non-Pegi Gugumagama, Round Hand, his X mark.